Alright, deep breaths everyone, deep breaths. It's January 8th, 2026. Take a good look around. The sun is up, the birds are mocking us, and the only thing Netflix uploaded this morning was a crushing dose of reality. Yeah, no secret episode 9, no true ending hidden behind a metadata wall, no 45-minute cinematic masterpiece of Mike Wheeler bolted upright in bed, nothing. It's the kind of silence you get at 4 a.m. when the party stops, and you realize you've been arguing with a wall about a fictional character's socks for 6 hours straight. For the last 2 weeks, we turned into digital detectives, forensic analysts, and, let's be honest, absolute lunatics. We spent thousands of hours, precious hours of our lives we are never getting back, analyzing the brass finish on a basement door handle. We counted the frame-by-frame frequency of Joyce Byers' eye blinks like we were decoding a message from a POW camp. We looked at the color of a background extra's shirt and convinced ourselves it was a chromatic signal for the chained god. We convinced ourselves the ending was a masterpiece in disguise because we couldn't handle the truth that our favorite show didn't go out in a blaze of glory. It went out like a wet firework at a middle school parking lot. We treated the Duffer brothers like they were Christopher Nolan on steroids, when in reality they were just two guys who hit select all and delete on all our favorite theories. Well, the Cooe is officially dead. The gate didn't just close, it was slammed in our faces and deadbolted from the other side. And now, here we are, January 8th, standing out in the rain, holding our tinfoil hats, looking like the biggest collection of clowns in the history of the internet. Today, we aren't just talking about a show. We are performing a brutal, cold-blooded autopsy on the most desperate, most obsessive, and frankly, most delusional fan theory to ever hit the modern era. Before we tear into the clues, we have to talk about the logistics. Here's my first reason why I knew that this wasn't going to happen, and that's because of the leak culture. We are currently watching Marvel and DC struggle to keep a single secret. Look at the Doomsday trailer leaks. And you're telling me Netflix somehow has CIA-level security? It's laughable. You honestly believe a secret 2-hour finale sat on a server for 3 years without a single VFX artist leaking a frame? In this industry, where people leak entire movies for 5 minutes of Reddit clout, I knew this was fake because the math didn't add up. Not a single caterer saw an episode 9 lunch menu. Not even Noah Schnapp, the king of spoilers, let it slip. I didn't need a tinfoil hat because I actually have my eyes open to how this business functions. Let's look at what we actually convinced ourselves was evidence. We saw a basement door handle move 6 inches to the right and we screamed, "Illusion! Parallel dimension!" My brothers in Christ. It's called a continuity error. People were literally counting the number of peas on a plate in the background of a dinner scene to find Morse code. Then there was the Steve Harrington sports crisis. Fans pointed at Steve coaching baseball and had a literal meltdown. He played basketball. He was a swim captain. This proves the timeline is fake. Seriously? Since when is picking up a new hobby in your 20s proof of a psychological prison? Maybe Steve just realized basketball is too much cardio for a guy with that much hair. But no, the theory insisted this was a glitch in the memory. It wasn't a glitch, it was just the writers leaning into a 1980s coaching trope because Joe Keery looks good in a whistle. And finally the holy grail, the X-Ally binders. Yeah, whatever that is. This was the smoking gun. Photos went viral showing the D&D books on a shelf spelling out a message to the fans. People were making 20-minute video essays with giant red arrows claiming the show was breaking the fourth wall to admit the ending was fake. It was Photoshop. A random troll on Twitter spent 5 minutes on Canva, laughed their way to 10,000 retweets, and sent millions of people into a psychological spiral. Everyone was betting their entire reputation on January 7th, the countdown websites, the what's next hashtag. We thought it was the second coming of Christ. Netflix is a billion-dollar corporation. They spent millions on a global tour. They put episode 8 in theaters for a massive one-night event. Use your head. Why would a company spend that much money branding episode 8 as the final chapter just to drop the actual ending on a random Wednesday? That's sabotaging your own product. But what did Netflix actually do? They used that hashtag to promote a trailer for Enola Holmes 3 in one piece. They didn't lie to us, they just stood back and watched us light ourselves on fire for free marketing. Netflix changed their bio as well? Yeah, probably did it to mess with us because they saw the engagement numbers peaking. We weren't decoding the Matrix. We were just doing Netflix's job for them, turning a mediocre finale into the most talked about event of the year, and they didn't even have to pay us for it. Now let's just talk about the story itself. I knew this was a bust because narratively, episode 9 makes 0 sense. Think about it. What is the episode even supposed to be about? A 2-hour rescue mission to pull Mike out of a trance. And then what? They're supposed to just redo everything from episode 8, but better. Are we really going to sit through another 2 hours of them refighting the Mind Flayer and Vecna just to get a different result? Are we going to watch Elle die or not die all over again? It's redundant. And what about the fans who actually liked the finale? There are people out there who thought episode 8 was a masterpiece. What is their response going to be when they see an episode 9 that literally erases everything they just watched? You'd be insulting half your audience. I knew the Duffers wouldn't commit narrative suicide just to pull a gotcha on the internet. Here's the aggressive truth nobody wants to hear. The ending felt off because it was mid. That's it. It wasn't a Vecna-controlled memory loop. It wasn't a D&D campaign gone wrong. It was just a group of writers who decided to play it safe. They gave everyone a happy ending, tied it up with a bow, and played heroes to make us cry. We invented the chained god theory and the conformity theory because we couldn't accept that our favorite show turned into a Hallmark movie in the final hour. We gave them credit for a fake ending because the real ending was too boring to be true, but guess what? Sometimes the curtains are just blue, sometimes a door handle is just a door handle, and sometimes a show you love just ends badly. Now, I know some of you are currently in the bargaining phase. You're looking at the January 12th documentary and saying, wait, the documentary is a cover for episode 9. Stop it.
Get some help.
The documentary is exactly what it says it is. A behind-the-scenes look at a bunch of actors saying goodbye to their paychecks. There is no hidden file. There is no red paper script. The Duffers are already moving on to a spin-off about some rocks in a cave if you're still waiting for a secret episode.
Good luck.
Conformity Gate will go down in history as the greatest group cope of all time. It was more entertaining than the actual finale, honestly. The hunt for the truth was the most Stranger Things thing about season 5. But at the end of the day, the dice stayed on a 7. The gate stayed shut. And we're left with an ending that, let's be real, is right up there for most likely to be skipped on a rewatch. The show is over. The what's next is nothing. Go outside, touch some grass, and for the love of God, stop looking at door handles.